the History of Diving Museum for sponsoring this. They sponsor so many great projects, and especially during a time of COVID, it is uh, uh, good for us to be able to get together, uh, um, talk diving, talk about fun stuff. And certainly, when Lisa and I first started talking about me doing a presentation, I wanted to say I wanted to do something about the work that I did in the Dominican Republic, simply because it was so much fun. And I went to the Dominican Republic to visit my friend John Matera, who was living down there at the time, and things just kind of took off from there. We got a contract, a salvage contract with the Dominican government that permitted us to explore and excavate colonial period shipwrecks under their supervision. And we working with their archaeologists and their Ministry of Culture, so that everything was done with uh, uh, under their supervision, because they're incredibly interested in their history, their patrimony, and when we talk about the colonial period, the Dominican Republic is like ground zero, and was quite literally the capital, at least for a while, early in the colonial period, when Columbus was there. And then later on, of course, it moved to Havana. But, we are talking about diving. And so one of the things that I really liked about when we were there was I had the opportunity to throw a lot of different equipment configurations at whatever we were doing from a project standpoint. And so sometimes, like you see here, we're diving regular conventional scuba with a set of doubles and all that. Sometimes we were using a full face mask so that we were capable of using communications. And here is the OTS Guardian, which of course replaced my pathetically old AGA mask. And when we were serious about working, we were using Kirby Morgan 37 helmets, working off surface supplied, and I, having spent more than 20 years working as a hard hat diver in and around New York City. I was in the Divers Union and worked, any number of construction projects. I've been around a while. So, the Model 37 was not my first helmet, but this is easily the best helmet that I've ever used. And however, it started me to thinking that maybe I could get my old Swindell, my Divex Swindell helmet up and running, and then bring it to the Dominican Republic and work with it. And which is what I did. And it was a little tough finding all the parts and making everything work and all that kind of thing. But this was an older helmet of mine, and I just wanted to do it to do it. Now, having said that, the Model 37, my Kirby Morgan helmet, was nice and quiet and all that. As soon as they screwed the helmet onto my onto the ring, all of a sudden I remembered, oh man, yeah, this is really loud doing this. So an air hat, going back to an air hat where plus I've got like a hearing disability to begin with from the military. So I'm like, anyway, it was a lot of fun, but to tell you the truth, I think I only made like 2 dives on it. And but you know, the diving part of uh, um, working on shipwrecks is like, you know, you have to do a bunch of things before you can even get to the diving part, and certainly one of those things is you got to figure out where it is, what it is you're going after, and certainly when we were down in the Dominican Republic, one of the things that we kept hearing about was the Golden Fleece, the ship that belonged to the pirate Joseph Bannister, and it was part of local lore. And you know, this is what you're seeing on screen is from the treasure trove of Phipps. This was written at a time when Phipps was still alive, and most of this comes from the ship's log of his salvage vessel. But you know, he makes mention of Bannister's wreck. He got there a couple of months after the Golden Fleece ended up on the bottom, and William Phipps basically discovered the Concepcion. He made reference to the wreck of the Golden Fleece. He uh, uh, was treasure hunting up in Canada, and has been mentioned in connection with Oak Island. And he was the governor of Massachusetts. He really got around, and early on, he saw with his own eyes the wreck, and you can see that the quote down here at the bottom, that they're actually seeing a cannon shot laying around with the broad arrow on them, which and the broad arrow was, of course, from the Royal Navy. So as we it to go to the very start of the Joseph Bannister story, he was a successful merchant boat captain, and he just you know, as Rob Kurson put it, he went rogue, which you know, I'm not sure how much he went rogue, as much as he decided that he was going to be his own master, and you know, piracy was an option that seemed viable at the time. So he basically stole the ship that he was captaining, and he tried his hand at piracy. Now the British, you know, he didn't have a contract with them, or and it was rumored that he was working with the French. So the British went out. The Royal Navy took him. They took his ship. They took him back into port, and this is in Jamaica at Port Royal, which was an English port. And they tried the guy for piracy. Well, now the problem with Port Royal is pretty much everybody in Port Royal was either a pirate or doing business with pirates. That was the only industry they had. Everything revolved around piracy. So of course he was found not guilty. Now the and released. Now the governor of Jamaica was not thrilled about this. So the governor says, I don't, you know what? I don't care. I don't care. He was found not guilty. Just grab him, and we're gonna hang him. Phipps finds out about this, gets his men, makes his ship ready. He has to steal it back from the Royal Navy, from the British, and in the middle of the night they sail past the guns back out to sea, and they leave Port Royal behind. And he goes out, and he's, you know, he's going back to work as a pirate. This totally outrageous the governor. The governor was not happy with him before. Now the governor is beside himself with hatred for this guy. Sends 2 Royal Navy frigates out to chase him down, the Falcon and the Drake. And they catch him in Samana Bay. And this is a drawing of a ship similar to that. It's not the actual Golden Fleece, but the Golden Fleece was something similar to this. And here we've got the Drake and the Falcon, and they catch him in Samana Bay. But Bannister was a very clever tactician. So the first thing he did, he had to careen his ship to clean the hull. If you're in the pirate business, speed is the most important thing, most important advantage you can have over a vessel that you're trying to overtake. So they were going to clean the hull, careen the ship, get the ship as close to shore as they possibly can on a high tide. When the tide goes out, the ship rests on the bottom, kind of heels over, and they clean the hull, get all the encrustation, barnacles, marine life, all that stuff off, so the hull's smooth, and that makes the ship fast. So the Drake and the Falcon catch him while they're careening their ship. But Bannister had taken the time to set up 2 shore batteries on the island where he was careening his ship in Samana Bay. The British come in and I mean, this is the Royal Navy. And these are pirates. They're like, okay, we're the Royal Navy. We're here to accept your surrender. And these guys put up a fight. They don't put up just a fight. They put up a good fight. They put up a fight that lasts 2 days. The 2 Navy frigates actually end up running out of shot and powder, and they have to retreat from the pirates. Now, as they're retreating, there is an explosion on the Golden Fleece. They assume that there was some kind of problem with a powder magazine, but nobody knows for sure. And the vessel essentially is burned to the waterline. Well, the Drake and the Falcon go back to Jamaica and they go, well, we ran out of shot and powder, but the pirates were still there, but their ship is destroyed. Once again, the governor of Jamaica is not happy. So what does the governor do? He admonishes both captains for losing to pirates. It's the first time in the history of the Royal Navy where the Royal Navy had to retreat from an engagement with pirates. It's a big deal. Anyway, the governor says, I'm sending more ships out after these guys. Now, mind you, the Bannister and his men had another small sloop there, which they escaped on, and the British went back there. They salvaged all the cannons from the site, and then they went and allegedly found Bannister on the Mosquito Coast and brought him back to Port Royal, hanging from the yardarm of the Falcon. That's the story. And here we've got a map from the Napoleonic era when the French controlled the island of Hispaniola, and here they're calling this island here Caye Banastre. This is where the engagement took place. This is where the pirates fought the Royal Navy to a standstill. And later on, when in the mid-19th century, when the Spanish kicked the French out, it's Pirate Island. And then somehow, some way, it came around to Caye Levantado, the careening island. So, but this is So, you know, if we're going to find the wreck of the Golden Fleece, we have to know everything we can about it. We want to know about the sinking. We want to know about the history. We want to know about the battle. We want to know. We want to get as much information as we possibly can to find the wreck. Now, mind you, pretty much everybody in the Dominican Republic involved in shipwreck has gone looking for this wreck and not found it. So it's like, okay, uh, um, how come? Well, here's Pirate Island, Calle Levantado, Calle Banastre, and here you can see like they've got like a resort here now and all that kind of stuff. So we've done all of our homework. And if you look at this island, it's not that big. Finding the wreck should not be that difficult. So we figured, you know, we'll put a little bit of effort into it. People aren't really looking with the tools that we were using, and the tools that we were using. We had our vessel here, the Deep Explorer. Our primary tool was like the Geometrics G882 cesium magnetometer. Now, magnetometer is a passive instrument, but it locates metal objects. And of course, we did not have information that whether the cannons and anchors were taken from the site or not. But we felt we could find the wreck using the magnetometer, and if not, we had side scan, we had other tools, but we were using modern technology. Now, with a magnetometer, you don't really end up seeing an image, which you're interpreting readings on a graph. So it's like, you know, then you got to actually just get in the water. And here we've got 3 cannons, one here, one here, one here, not of the Golden Fleece, and but you know, we found these cannons with a magnetometer. They're ferrous targets, and we didn't pick them up. Sometimes you can find targets with the side scan. So you know, here we've got 3 cannons here, a cannon here, cannon here, cannon here. I think all total 1 cannon, 2 cannon, 3 cannon. I think all total there were like 11 cannons on this one particular site. And this is a single side scan image. And of course, side scan sonar gives you an image, and how you interpret that image determines, you know, where you're going to actually get in the water on this. But a lot of the wrecks, and certainly ultimately the Golden Fleece when we found it, are going to be more like this, where this is an image we made from this is a photo mosaic, and you can see in the center you've got all of this ballast stone. Well, you know, on a reef head, you don't have rocks and stuff unless somebody brings them in and puts them there. And of course, early in the colonial period, the ships were using rounded river stone, and then as time went on, they used more quarry type stone with more angular edges and that kind of thing. But you know, any of the purpose of the survey is not just to locate the wreck that you're trying to find, and that's important, but it's also important, you know, for the marine archaeologists, you want to document the site from the very beginning. You know, it's, you know, before anybody does anything, there's a lot of work to do, and documentation plays a big role in that. So the more images you can collect, the better. Now, we're surveying Cayo Levantado, we're running the mag, we're running the side scan, And where I thought it would take like, you know, maybe a few weeks or something like that, all of a sudden that's now like a few months. What does John and you know, in the meantime, you're never doing just one thing. It's not like you do all of your historical research and then you do all of your survey work. You know, it's kind of a there is some overlap there. But the more I learn about Joseph Bannister, the more I think of this. I think this guy was incredibly smart. I felt I really I liked him. I liked him in that he was a guy in a world with monarchs and debtors prisons and you know, oppression, and he had chiseled out this job for himself. But you know, I mean, the Royal Navy is you know, impressing sailors into to service, and he sees so much wrong in the world, and he's like, you know what, I'm going to go my own way, and he became a pirate. And he was a smart guy. And the more I look at Cayo Levantado, the more I look at Calle Banastre, Pirate Island, I'm like, he would have had to be an idiot to put to careen his vessel here. There's no good place. You know, on the southern side, you've got a lot of reefs. We now know everything on the bottom around this island. We know exactly what the bottom looks like, and you know, north of this island, the French had an anchorage for ships. Ships would come in and they'd anchor up over here, and we found a bunch of anchors that were lost while ships were at anchor, and they couldn't recover them. But there's no good place. No good place relative to getting the ship real close to the island to do the careening. But B, anybody coming in from the open ocean over here is gonna be able to see them. They're gonna be extraordinarily vulnerable. Now we know from the historical documents that Bannister put two shore batteries of cannon on the island. Okay, well, where do you put shore batteries on this crappy little island here? It doesn't work. So history is saying, everybody is saying, this is Bannister Island. This is Pirate Island. This is where the wreck is. But it doesn't make any sense. We've got French maps saying, oh yeah, Bannister Island. Doesn't make any sense. Why would he not? Are there not better places? So why would it be here? Well, you know, we're down there. I'm in the Dominican Republic. This is a bunch of our friends. I'm staying. John Matera's father-in-law, Victor Garcia, is standing right here next to me. I'm standing there next to Victor and Howard, Heiko, John Matera, and you know, we're all. This is where I was living. I was living in Victor's villa on the mountainside there. And we are overlooking behind us Calle Vigio. And it's like we're all there, you know, we're living there looking at Calle Vigio every single day. Every single day we're there, we're looking at this. And we're lamenting. I'm saying no one with any tactical sense would careen their vessel on Cayo Levantado. And John Matera's like, but you know, they named the island after the guy. I said, there's no place to careen a ship. And Howard mentions, he says, what's careening? So he said, well, careening is, where the ships want to like get the marine growth off the hull so that the pirate ship is fast, and they pull it up close to land, and when on a high tide, when the tide goes out, the ship kind of heels over, and they work very hard to get all the marine growth off the bottom of the hull. And they'll do any repairs they have to do at that time too. And Howard goes, like those guys are doing over there on that island? And it's like, yeah, that's exactly. It was a Dominican fishing boat, and they careened their boat on the island to right across from the villa where we were all staying, and they were cleaning the hull. John Matera then gets his, he gets his wife, and he gets Heiko. The next day, we were on our way heading back to the United States after we'd been working for a while. But John Matera's staying there. He grabs Heiko and he gets his wife. He says, honey, we're going on a picnic. So they go over to Cayo Vigia, and this is like the little beach on the island there. And if you look over here where the stick is, this is eventually where we would find the wreck. But anyway, he comes over to the beach here, and he takes a metal detector, and the three of them are up in the jungle running the metal detector around, looking for cannonballs. And you can see in Heiko's hand here at the bottom is a cannonball. So where'd the cannonballs come from? They're finding cannonballs all around this area of the island. So the Royal Navy did not go that many places in Samana Bay, but right here you can see the broadhead on the cannonball. This is a cannonball not from the water, but from the island. And when they talked about Phipps coming to Samana Bay, and Phipps noted that, oh yeah, no, we could see the Royal Navy shot marked with the broadhead arrow. And so John Matera is finding these. It's like, this is where the battle was. So we go back and we do a micro survey as close as we can get without wrecking the boat or wrecking the magnetometer, right up on the beach. And we do a micro survey in a limited area there, and we come up with a couple of small hits, not anchors, not cannons, but small ferrous stuff. And what we were picking up on was, if you see that, it looks like a length of pipe here. And when the conservators at the Ministry of Culture cleaned that stuff up, it was the works of a firelock. These were the firelocks that Phipps looked into the water and said, we could see the firelocks right where the pirates had dropped them. So Phipps is seeing the cannonballs with the broadhead. He's seeing on the top of the ballast pile here. And you can see how when you look at some of these stones, that you could tell that this is an old wreck early in the colonial period. Not really early, but like 17th century, because you're seeing a mix of round river stone and some angular stone as well. But so here's the firelock. So we've got this ballast pile with the firelocks on top of it. We're pulling the cannonballs off, And while we're doing all this stuff, we're like, this is the wreck. And while we're doing that, as I said, we weren't just like, limiting ourselves to, we were working on multiple things at the same time. We come across a book that is literally just being released by the publisher. Jamaica, 1687, by a professor by the name of Bousselet. And he is from Jamaica, and he got this the Taylor manuscript about life in the late 17th century in Jamaica, and the author, John Taylor, says that he was there for the battle between the pirates and the Royal Navy, and so here he depicts, where the Golden Fleece was, nestled right in there in the island. And here's the Drake, here's the Falcon. Over here's where Victor would build the villa later, just to taunt us. But it's like, and here's Hog Island, which now was referred to as Pigeon Island. But so I mean, we really, of course, we would have loved to have had this, like a year earlier, because at this point, I think we've been working on this like, I don't know, 10 months or something like that. But if you look, the saddle shape of the island here, clearly is what is depicted in the drawing, and then up in here is where we're finding the cannonballs with the broad arrow on them. This is where we find the wreck down here, and here is where the Falcon and Drake engaged, anchored up to engage the pirates. So basically, we've been looking at this island like every day for a year, and looking for the wreck like 6 miles away. Anyway, when we got all the ballast and everything off, we've got this wreck is from 1686, actually the beginning of 1687. But it's like, here's, we've got timbers, and you've got some big stuff here. You can see, some of the timbers are scorched from the explosion when the Royal Navy was leaving. But I didn't. I don't know. I thought I had some artifact photos in there. But the San Miguel is the wreck we were really looking for, and this is the anchor that we found. This would be from mid 16th century, but that's a whole nother story. But the irony of literally, this wreck hid in plain sight, for hundreds of years. It sat there, and right in the shadow of the villa where we were living. So for it is interesting how when we look at why we do this, why we try and find these wrecks, why the history is so important. The history is not always what we think it is, and certainly they didn't. I question whether Bannister was actually captured, or whether they just hung some guy and said it was Bannister, and Bannister was like, I'm okay with that. But you know, it is the personal connection between you know, the us and you know, the divers, the researchers, and you know, the people of that era. And we're looking forward to possibly going back. We would love to go back, and we believe we found a wreck called the San Miguel, Spanish wreck, and I think that would we're waiting on some government approval, and we'll see how that goes. Nothing's for sure until it happens. And as I said to Lisa, I'm more comfortable talking about stuff I've already done than stuff I'm gonna do. So we'll see how the San Miguel uh, uh, um, plays out. And there's other things that, of course, you know, I can't talk about. Um, but you know, they're on the treasure map over at IHOP. You know, at the placemat. Emily, do you want to go to questions now?
Yes, let me here. I'm gonna pop this off of you so it can be on both of us. So hold on one second. There we go. Okay, so let me open up because I've got a few, and also everybody, I've got a lot of thank yous and everything coming in, and this is fantastic. So my first question, okay, from John Hazelbaker. What type and make of side scan and magnetometer did you use on this project or prefer to use on any search project?
We well, I love the geometrics G 882 cesium magnetometer. That's like, you know, I can't tell you how many times I've done bad things to it, and it still works like great. Um, I'm not a side scan guy. We've got an L3, you know, side scan, and we use it when we have to, but I never really, you know, you know, it's a Klein side scan, but I'm not. I reluctantly use the side scan. I like, and you know, if we're really interested in a particular site, especially with you know, if I'm diving the Andrea Doria is 700 feet long. Most of these small colonial period sites are going to be, you know, maybe 100 feet long.
Hmm.
You know, some of them even smaller. So you know, it's reasonable to work on things like photo mosaics,
Right.
and essentially we go back and forth and shoot a bunch of video. We set up lines, and we travel on the line, and but keep the line out of the shot, and then we pull stills from the video and sew it all together.
Oh, very cool. Okay, so from Roger, I've read many years ago that Shadow Divers was supposed to be turned into a movie. Curious about what happened to that, and actually that ties into another question I've had. Is there an epilogue to Shadow Divers that you've learned since you finished the book? So I guess it kind of all kind of mushes together.
The Shadow Divers, we signed an agreement with 20th Century Fox, and 20th Century Fox tried to make Shadow Divers for about 10 years. The CEO was ousted from Fox. The producer, who I don't want to say the guy's name, but you would know him if I mentioned his name. He committed suicide. It's like, you know, and they just couldn't seem to make it happen. And you know, I think that's the way Hollywood works. You know, I mean, I'm a diver. You know, Hollywood. Oh, I got no idea what they're doing really, but it's like they have a lot of different things. What movies, you know, they buy this much and then they make this much into movies. So anyway, that we did that for 10 years, and then for 4 years, Universal had it, and Universal. The guy that they originally had working on it, they were like, "Oh no, we got to get rid of you. We got to get a new guy." Anyway, we separated from Universal. Our contract ran out. We didn't. They wanted to renew, and we didn't want to renew it with them. and now we're trying to. we- I'm trying to think of how to say this. We kind of have a deal, but we're waiting on a contract.
Hmm.
And I should instead of commercial dive school, I should have gone to law school, because I would have deal with way too much legal stuff. But and hopefully these guys will do something. And if there is an epilogue to Shadow Divers, is probably Pirate Hunters, which talks about the Golden Fleece and
Hmm.
Bannister and our time in the Dominican Republic. And unfortunately, the epilogue to Pirate Hunters, I don't know what it is yet. As soon as I find out, I'll try to get word out.
Right. Oh, that's fantastic. All right, moving along from John Locke. I might be saying your last name wrong, but he's actually taken a class with you, and he's from San Jose, California. His question is, what, if any, advice do you have for us West Coast divers when it comes to finding wrecks and or just diving them that would be specific to our conditions? Our waters are cold, deep, and likely have had less traffic compared to the East Coast of the US.
Well, it is difficult on the West Coast because the Pacific Ocean, it drops off quickly. So you don't have much in the way of uh, uh, shallow water outside the state's 3 mile limit. So the individual states, according to the Abandoned Shipwreck Act of 1984, is states get three miles on the ocean, and 9 miles in the Gulf of Mexico. That's their waters, and anything in there is theirs.
Mhm.
Outside of that's federal waters. If you go and you find something, so you guys are in a tough bind. Not that there aren't shipwrecks to be found, but it's going to be tough finding shipwrecks outside the 3 mile, the 3 mile limit.
Right.
But I have to say this. Yeah, it's always great to be diving in your backyard, but it is also, you know, uh, uh, the world is smaller than it used to be, and there are wrecks to be found and places to go, and you have so many dives and so little time. So that's the way it is. And
True.
I just want to say, John, I remember you, and I can't believe that you still are alive and have done okay. No, I'm only teasing.
Ah, okay, so I've got one. Why do they think the pirates had more ammo than the Royal Navy? Did they store some of it on land?
Well, the pirates. Everybody thinks that oh, pirates. They're gonna it's gold and silver. Treasure.
Yeah.
Well, most treasure is not really always gold and silver. So, pirates, when they're taking ships, they're going to utilize their ordnance, their powder, their shot. Oh, what are they carrying? Oh, linens, stuff from almost any commodities. I'm pretty sure the pirates probably had a good supply and used it judiciously, but they also were pretty. I'm pretty sure they had a plan, a better plan than the
Mhm.
Royal Navy did. The Royal Navy basically sailed in there and dropped anchor and said, "We're here." Whereas the pirates had shore batteries. They're fighting from shore. They got a better. They're shooting down on the Royal Navy ships. So I would say they were tactically speaking, at an advantage, and they probably were pretty good about conserving, being in it for the long haul. It was a 2-day battle.
Mm-hmm. All right. So I've got another one. This one's kind of more directed for you. Which was the most important for you when you started deep wreck diving? The mystery of it all or sheer exploration?
Hmm. Well, that's a great question, and it's I think sometimes I just want to do stuff because, in other words, um, a good example would be Oak Island. When I went to Oak Island in 10X, the I felt I had figured out the problem. They'd had guys there that tried to dive the shaft and they couldn't make it happen. And so for me it was challenging, and I liked the challenge. And the thing is, you figure it out in your head, and then it's okay. Now I want to go prove that I made it all happen. So
Mm-hmm.
there's all sorts of different challenges, but I mean, for wreck diving, it's you've got historical mysteries. You've got you know the being the research detective. Where am I going to find the information that is going to lead me in the right direction? How do I find it? What is it going to be? And you don't know exactly what you're looking for something that you don't know what it is. So there's that side of it. And on the dive side, it's like, oh, the challenges of diving. And okay, well, you also have to understand charts and navigation and technology. We were talking about the Geometrics G882 cesium magnetometer. All of this stuff, there's so many different facets to this. I mean, that's why I love wreck diving. There's no pun intended. There's a lot of depth to
I love it. Okay, I've got a question from Daryl, one of our members. What era did you guys think the San Miguel was from,
Well,
or no?
it went down in 1551.
Okay.
Early in the colonial period. We know a lot about the history. In uh, uh, in the colonial period, they had if you that the court system was really the royal court.
Mm-hmm.
So what we had with the San Miguel was we had people who had lost their wealth on the wreck. Now the king sent out some salvagers, and they could salvage some stuff. And the king's like, okay, I got my stuff. I'm out of here. Um, so the people who were like, I didn't get anything. They petitioned the court to see if the king would, give them some of what they lost in the wreck. So it's probably not any different than today's courts, but so they've got this, there I was, and the ship was tossed, and when we lost the rudder, and we were all pumping out, and then we saw that this prominent feature, and literally they name right where the wreck is,
Right.
and it's like, oh well, that makes it easy. But it is it is getting to that point, and not unlike us. We discovered the John Taylor manuscript because a prominent author and historian writes about it, but his book doesn't come out until we've already found the wreck. It's like, yeah, it would have been nice if we had this a while ago.
Right.
This would have saved us a lot of work.
No, that's I get that completely, and that actually ties into kind of it can be a combination of two different people's questions. Is what would you say the ratio is of book research versus the diving exploration? but also, is it possible that some historical records purposely mislead factors when describing where a wreck is?
Oh, that's a great question. I don't know that they purposely are misleading anybody. I mean, I do that, but
Yeah.
I don't think historians did that. But but because that they would, the San Miguel was referenced as being lost near Santo Domingo. Well, the San Miguel was lost on the north coast. Santo Domingo's on the south coast. I mean, it's like, as we look at the island of Hispaniola, it's nowhere near Santo Domingo. However, as this message is being sent back to the king in Spain, it's like, oh, Santo Domingo is like a bigger area than just the city of Santo Domingo. So some of that stuff, where the wreck was reported was, of the official record of where the wreck was, it was just a nightmare. It was like, they're talking about leagues and stuff like that. And they're using Puerto Plata. They're saying Santo Domingo. It was very, you couldn't really find it from that. And of course, that's why, that's why nobody ever found it. And as far as percentage, it's almost like if you think about painting a bedroom, it's like, oh, well, I gotta move all the stuff, and I gotta put the plastic down, and then I gotta put tape, and then I'm sandpapering, and then I want to vacuum it, and then at the very end you get the paint. Well, it's like, that's the way I look at looking for shipwrecks. I want to, and some of the guys like hate me. They're like, yeah, let's go. It's like, no, let's finish the survey. But we know where it is. No, we don't know where it is. But it's so I like being very disciplined about it. But as far as I'm concerned, man, you can't have enough archival materials, and then you can't do enough survey before you go diving.
Right. No, I agree. So I have quite a few, I've got some questions not related to these wrecks that we were talking about this evening, from David. And actually this kind of ties in with, when you learn more information later on. Is your theory for the cause of the U-boat sinking still the same as it was in the book, or has it changed at all?
I think it has changed. In the book we were talking about a circular run torpedo, and we, everyone we talked to, I could say we talked to the experts, but that's kind of it. Said that there was nothing in the submarine that could have caused an internal explosion. Well, there's a guy who just wrote a book, I mean, recently, and said that when we look at this technology of the day, it could have been an internal explosion. And he makes a pretty good case. As I look at the wreck, it looks as though it looks like an exploded around the control room. It looks like an exploded cigar. So it appears that it was something internal. Now, that could that have been a T5 acoustic torpedo? We think so. I mean, there were plenty of circular run torpedo instances where the torpedo came back and didn't strike the submarine, and we know about it, or did strike the submarine, and that the submarine blew up with other evidence or witnesses. So the circular run torpedo is a real thing. I don't think that the historical account of the Coiner and the Crow, I think the Coiner and the Crow came upon the submarine that had already been sunk. I'd already released the oil from the tanks in the sinking, and there's no real credible evidence that their depth charge attack produced the sinking. But
Hmm.
the thing is, it's they don't want to, they certainly don't want to let good credit go to waste. And I mean, there's no hard evidence saying it was anything else. So I guess the Coin and Crow incident is fair game, as the internal explosion or circular on torpedo. And there may be a couple of other theories floating around out there.
Hmm. Okay. And so I was told I can ask 2 more questions, so don't keep sending me them, everyone. So one of the ones I've got, what was the most memorable moment when you were doing the work on the Titanic?
Um, prior to Titanic, I'd been to Britannic in Greece, and I dove it on a rebreather, and I dove into the break, and went up into the fireman's tunnel. But the thing is, I spent a lot of time looking at the break, and in looking at the break, I noticed the hull structure on the bottom. And when we were on Titanic in the Mir submersible, and literally the lights from the Mir are, the pilots using the forward looking sonar, and he's like, we got a low lying piece of wreckage up ahead of us, and we're all kind of looking out the ports. We've got the camera looking forward. We're trying to pick up on it, and I would say almost as soon as I saw it, it looked familiar to me. I was like, oh, I think this is part of the hull. And then, as we started, let's travel around the periphery of this particular piece of wreckage, and we're traveling around the periphery, and it's like, oh, what, here's the bilge keel. Oh, here's the this is one end is forward, one end is aft. This is whatever it was, like 35 feet of the hull, but from side to side. And so, it was kind of one thing after another, all leading me down the same road. But I would say, both myself and Richie were, we like, this is something. This shouldn't be here. This is totally out of place, which is exactly what we were looking for. Something
Mhm.
something out of place.
Awesome. All right, so I'm going to wrap it up. I know this is the tricky part because I've got a few different things, and I think this is actually good for everyone a little bit. Um, what would you suggest as a good for starting point or wreck for someone that would want to go deeper and explore wrecks? I have very little experience with wrecks and have only been to about 130 feet.
I would say there are ample opportunities to dive shipwrecks. I live in South Florida. The majority of shipwrecks that we dive here are artificial reef wrecks. When I get in the water, I view every dive as a training opportunity. So it's like, I don't care how deep or shallow it might be. It's an opportunity for me to work at one thing or another. If I'm in the water with students, I'm constantly working. I love working underwater. I gotta have like a mission. And for somebody who wants to start doing, if you're a recreational diver, go find somebody that will train you in decompression diving. That pushes your depth down to like 150 feet, and you're staying longer. And beyond that, trimix, rebreathers, advanced trimix, when you feel the time is right to move into, you know, more technology, you feel that your lack of knowledge, experience, you know, you don't have the knowledge, but or the experience to go deeper, but you're good where you are. Well, that, you know, then you know, that's the time. Make the jump. There are plenty of good technical diving instructors out there, and try and find somebody that you like and you agree with philosophically,
Right.
and have fun with it. Worry less about the destination and more about the journey.
That's an excellent way to kind of sum that up. So Lisa, I think I have to unmute you maybe. Let me find you in here. There we go. Should be able to do that.
Okay.
Welcome back.
Thank you. Thank you, John. That was definitely some interesting information on all of the, I have not dove Dominican Republic, and look forward to doing that on a future dive trip. So thank you. As a thank you, we appreciate your time. We appreciate you being an enthusiastic supporter of the History of Diving Museum. And as a gift to you, it's a 1-year membership. You can come down 362 days a year. And when you're in the Keys, bring your students down, walk through. You know, a lot of people come through the museum that are new divers and are so happy that they're learning with computers and the technology that we have now, and not the old double hose regulators or the old J valves on the back of the scuba cylinder. So anyway, thank you for your time. We appreciate it. We do want to also give a shout out to the 3 books, Shadow Divers, Pirate Hunters, and Emily, if you have that slide.
I'm working on it. There we go.
The Titanic Last Secrets, we have some of them already in stock in the museum store. We're going to be getting some more. If you want to get them signed by John. We're going to make a package, and I'm going to take him up and meet John, and we're going to also, if you want to dive, we might bring him down here and get on some wreck treks together. So be on the lookout, and let us know that you want to be part of that. So also remember that In Depth will be closing on December 31st, that Art of the Abyss will be opening in January, and Diving into Pop Culture in April. So thank you all. Thank our members. Thank everybody for participating. Emily, you'll get this up on YouTube so you can share it with your friends. If you're not a subscriber to our YouTube channel, we ask you to get on that so you can see everything and not miss any of our videos.
Exactly. And I did send everyone in the chat link a direct link to the museum store where the books are available for purchase. So,
all right, great. Thank you, Emily. All right, thank you, John.
Without further ado,
thank you, Lisa, Emily. Thanks. This is great. I love what you guys do for the diving community, and this was fun. We'll have to do it again sometime.
Definitely. Thank you very much, John. All right, everyone. Thank you for joining us, and have a happy holiday season. And we will see you guys next month on January 20th. So have a good day, guys.
Happy holidays, everybody.
Bye.